New tonight, targeting vandals. A Providence City councilman is calling on the police department for their help in cracking down on a growing graffiti problem.
Tonight, police have arrested the man they say painted graffiti all over a Providence neighborhood.
Jesus Ruiz is facing several charges after
graffiti has been around in all different parts of the world in one form or another, whether it was, you want to consider the cave paintings and Lascaux on down. People, by the time they had walls, they were writing. Graffiti has been around in all different parts of the world in one form or another, whether it was, you want to consider the cave paintings in Lascaux on down. People, by the time they had walls, they were writing on them. Early in the United States, beginning really in the antebellum years, people began to write on boxcars that would roll from coast to coast. In the hobo years, the Depression, that became even more prominent. There was always gang graffiti dating back to the 30s and 20s in Los Angeles and other parts of California, the Southwest. There was name-based graffiti all over the place. There was Kilroy was here, which actually sprung out of a suburb of Boston, oddly enough, until it became this kind of global icon for the greatest generation. But when this odd combination of name and fame came together in the late 1960s in both Philadelphia and New York, it really exploded. And what was so magical and so important in the history of American graffiti were the years really 1971 to 1975 in New York. And what happened was a generation of kids, and it's really important to remember that. These were kids. There was almost nobody over the age of 19 involved in this. Developed a whole art form that went from a simple signature, just Joe was here kind of thing, all the way up to a mural that covered the entire side of a subway car. And this was something that had just never been seen in art history before. An entire movement just completely developed by kids.
Graffiti art is bigger than it's ever been. It keeps getting bigger, no matter what rules and laws the cities create. There'll always be the next batch of young kids that just want to go out and write on things.
We all who have that inner kid in us still can retain that appeal of what graffiti is, this just amazing amount of line and color that is in a public space. And then just the whole, how did they do that kind of factor. Graffiti is the rock and roll of visual art. It came from America and it spread throughout the world. It took over the world. There have been very few American art forms that have lasted as long as graffiti, whether you're talking abstract expressionism or anything. The heyday of those periods was really maybe a decade at best in some cases. Graffiti keeps going after 40 years, and now that there's a public interest in graffiti, you have to capture that moment as historians.
I realized there really was no book that really told me what the history of Pittsburgh was, that told me what the history of Oregon was, what the history of Boston was. You know, there were little bits and pieces out there, but it wasn't there. And so many of these people are disappearing.
In the city right now, the graffiti and garbage everywhere.
Well, I've been an advocate for the park for a number of years, and you know, it's a challenge. The city doesn't really have an identified budget to take care of the bridge and the parks, so we're trying to press them to work on that and to do what little we can do as individual citizens to pick up garbage and actually eliminate graffiti sometimes, you know.
So what do you think about graffiti? You think it's a form of art or vandalism? Because for so many graffiti artists, they think it's some form of art, you know.
Yeah, well, I don't know a lot about that, but you know, I think it ranges from in the graffiti world, my guess is it ranges from people who think that graffiti is art, and those who are just doing it to do vandalism. So.
Yeah, the city spent millions fix it, right? And it's not good for business, but you know.
Yeah. But I think it's an ongoing problem. But I think the city's trying hard. Under currently the bridge is managed by the Parks Department. I think they're trying to do a good job. So we're just, some of my friends and I, as citizens who want the bridge and parks to be successful, we're just trying to do what we can to set an example.
I think it's sometimes.
For example, today you saw me picking up garbage.
I think it's up to every single people, right?
That's right.
Be aware, right? I mean, sometimes it's like you see the garbage right there, but they don't put the garbage right there, right?
Yeah.
It's laziness, right?
Yeah. I don't think we can assign this responsibility to the city alone. Individual citizens have to
you're right.
have to pitch in as well.
Okay, thank you, my friend.
Yeah,
Good luck.
thank you very
Okay.
much.
New tonight, targeting vandals. A Providence City councilman is calling on the police department for their help in cracking down on a growing graffiti problem in parts of the capital city. Eyewitness News reporter Perry Russum is live in Providence now with more on the councilman's plan for action.
We are on Valley Street in Providence, where we found building after building that has graffiti on it, including this old industrial building behind me that's in the process of being renovated. The spray paint can be spotted almost anywhere in Providence.
What can we do about the graffiti?
That's the question. City Councilman Michael Correa says he's been asked countless times from those living and working in the city. His response is a letter to the leaders of Providence Police.
We have a task force that doesn't investigate graffiti. We have a task force that goes out and cleans it up, removes it.
Correa is calling on police to assemble a task force of officers to clean up this issue, a problem he says plagues the neighborhoods and is costing businesses.
This building here has been tagged numerous times, and I know that the owners have painted the building many, many times. I would say they probably had to spend thousands of dollars, if not tens of thousands, to have this building painted.
Some of the graffiti has been power washed away, others painted over, but you can still make out what was once there. Correa tells us some of the artistic vandals have been arrested, while other painters are still on the run. To speed up the cleanup, the councilman is offering a $500 reward leading to the arrest and conviction of those involved in the illegal tagging.
Are you paying that $500 yourself?
I will be using various sources on my personal money, maybe some campaign funds, as well as I even had some local businesses that are looking to come forward too and establish a reward pool.
Even Perry on the phone tonight, he says he still has to read the letter, then he will respond to the councilman's requests. Live in Providence with the Mobile News from Perry Russum, Eyewitness News.
Tonight, police have arrested the man they say painted graffiti all over a Providence neighborhood.
Jesus Ruiz is facing several charges after police say he spray painted his name on buildings and construction sites. Eyewitness News reporter Rob Nesbitt joins us now with how one city councilor is responding to the arrest.
You'll find graffiti spray painted all over Mansion Avenue in Providence. Now police have charged one person they say is responsible. After years of spray painting graffiti, Providence police were able to arrest 29-year-old Jesus Ruiz. Ruiz goes by Halo, the name that he has allegedly been spray painting on building windows, walls, and along Route 6 construction in Providence. Most of it has already been cleaned up by the Rhode Island Department of Transportation. In 2016, City Council President Michael Correa asked the Providence Police Department to assemble a task force to not just clean up graffiti, but to also arrest more vandals. He praised detectives this week for their work in investigating and arresting Ruiz, saying, quote, "Vandalism will not be tolerated in Ward 6 or anywhere in Providence. I am a fan of street art when it has been commissioned or the artist has received permission to create art on a specific site. But there is a difference between that work and vandalism, and we must remember that." Police have charged Jesus Ruiz with 8 misdemeanor counts of graffiti. He pleaded not guilty during his arraignment in Providence District Court Wednesday. Ruiz is scheduled for a pretrial conference on February 26th. In the control room, I'm Rob Nesbitt, Eyewitness News.
I'm all alone. Turn the page, close the book. These are changing times. I'll never break through your barricade. Can't be alone one more night. I just need you here by my side. You say that you know me, I see what you show me. It's hard to believe you were mine.